Hi, this is my week 3 Scratch reflection video. This week, all of the groups from both Blue and Orange Group came together and performed what we have so far for our pieces in front of each other and our practitioners Ellie and Sophie. This gave us an opportunity to get an insight into what all the other groups have been producing and let us see where they've come from their initial ideas and their stimulus up to where they are now. It also let us see how the audience might react to what we're performing and how it might happen on the actual night. When each of the groups had finished performing, we all received general feedback from Sophie and Ellie for things that could apply to all of the groups and how everyone could improve in general. And then each of the groups received specific feedback for their pieces from the practitioners. We then came together in our groups and discussed how we could apply these to our pieces and what we could do to improve them and make them as effective as possible. For my group, this feedback was really helpful as we were told that what we were performing originally was too similar to the original story and it didn't have enough of our own spin on it. And I also think that we weren't as far in the process as maybe we should have been. So it really opened our eyes that we needed to quickly think of how we could improve our piece and make it as enjoyable for the audience as possible and make it put our own spin on it as much as we could. This feedback really helped to show us what was working and what wasn't, and it allowed us to make changes to our script and really finalise what we want in our piece, and it made us have quite a quick turnaround on the piece and it's now quite different to what it originally was. So I think this was really helpful as it's now brought together a much stronger piece and one that I think will be much more enjoyable and insightful for the audience. I think what originally wasn't working for our group is that we were trying to cram too much into one space and we were trying to create a really extensive and prolonged storyline into only 5 or so minutes, and this realistically just wasn't going to work. So having that feedback really helped us to make those final decisions, and it offered an outside opinion so that we wouldn't necessarily get into disagreements in the group and we couldn't really argue with what the practitioners were saying, as it was very helpful and it allowed us to make a piece that would in the long run be much more effective. Trying to essentially turn our piece around in such a short space of time has proven to be quite a challenge, but I think it allowed us to be much more open in our group to discuss what has been working and what hasn't, and we were throwing in ideas and just trying out new things, and I think this has led to a much clearer storyline and has allowed us to go deeper into the characterizations of each of our characters, and it's allowed us to add things that we wouldn't have necessarily thought of before. We have also now established what we definitely want the audience to be taking away from this, and that was really helped by Ellie, who we did an activity with where we wrote down different questions about our piece and wrote down lots of different words relating to it. And I think this really just sprung new ideas on us that we weren't thinking about before, and it has allowed us to create a much more meaningful piece that has a lot of context and reasoning behind it. A final thing that has really helped to add a deeper meaning to our piece and has helped add those finishing touches is the further research task that we were set this week. As in week 1, we were set a research task where we each individually went away and researched different topics. However, this further research task has helped us to look at things that we weren't even thinking about originally. So, for example, Molly, she looked at power dynamics in film and theatre, and this is something that I definitely wasn't thinking about originally, and it helped us to develop characters and the storyline, and I think that this just really helped to pull everything together.